So we looked at some quadratic equations where we were trying to find our solutions. But we won't always be looking for our solutions. Sometimes our word problems will ask a question like this: how high will it go? So you got to remember that the highest point or the lowest point of your parabola refers to your vertex. So if you want to find out how high something will go, we need to figure out the value of the vertex. In this case, the vertex can tell us two different pieces of information depending on what's being measured. So if you look at this graph, you'll see our x-axis here refers to the time that's passing in seconds, and our y value describes our height. So in this case, we'll be able to tell the maximum height the dolphin reached, okay, and how long it took to get to that maximum height. So using that same problem, the dolphin jumps out of the water. His height can be described by this equation: h equals negative 16t squared plus 64t minus 60, where t is his time in seconds. So again, this is our picture. Our time is our x-axis, our height is our y-axis. If we're looking at this equation, remember, don't be confused by the h and the t. It's the same as having an x and a y in here. And your x value is your time, your y value is your height. Now, there's a formula we can use to find our vertex, to find the x value of our vertex. So what we're going to do, this is the formula we're going to see here. X equals negative b divided by 2a. And the b and the a comes from our quadratic formula that we used to use, the a, b, and c values from standard form. So negative b, remember b here is 64, so I'm going to put in a negative 64. 2 times a, my a value here is negative 16, so 2 times negative 16. Okay, you can use your calculator to do this, but we've got negative 64 divided by negative 32, which gives us an answer of 2. So that means the x value of this vertex is 2. So x is time, so it means 2 seconds. It's going to take us 2 seconds to get to our vertex. Now to find the y value, what we're going to do is we're going to take this x value and we're going to plug it into this equation. So we'll start with our regular equation. Remember, x is the same as t, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this 2 and we're going to put it in all these places where we had our t value, and we're going to multiply this out. You can do this using your calculator. Okay, just be really careful with your negatives and your parentheses and stuff. So if I go negative 16 times 2 squared, I'm going to use my parentheses here, 2 squared, plus 64 times 2 minus 60. So see, in this calculator, you can just put the whole equation in. Just be real careful with your positives, your negatives, and your pluses and your minuses. And then you hit enter. And you find your answer is 4. So what that means is y equals 4. Now remember, our y is our height. So 2 and 4 give us our vertex, the x value and the y value. And what that means, remember, 2 is time, so it will take 2 seconds to reach the maximum height of 4, which is 4 feet. Let's try another one. Okay, so a rocket is fired straight up in the air. So this is what this situation looks like. A rocket's being fired straight up in the air. Its height is equal to negative 16t squared plus 64t plus 1. Okay, the h we have in this formula represents the height, and the t value is the time in seconds. So don't forget, this h is the same as the y, the x is the same as the t, and we're talking about our height and our time. We can see that in our graph right here. So how long will it take the rocket to reach its maximum height? How long will it take? That's our x value of our vertex. So again, we're going to use this formula. Where is it? There it is. Negative b divided by 2a, negative b, negative 64, divided by 2 times a, again 2 times negative 16. This is the same as before. Your numbers won't always be the same, but in this case they are. And so we can see our answer is 2. So now we're going to take this value of 2, which means it takes 2 seconds to reach its maximum height, and we're going to plug it in over here to find out what is the maximum height. Remember, to find this y value, we're going to take this 2 and put it back into our equation. So we're going to take the 2 and plug it in, and this time we would type this whole amount into our calculator. Don't forget your parentheses. and we'd find that y equals 65. Well, y is our height, so what that means is the rocket's maximum height is 65 feet.